What's up, y'all? I was originally going to break down a beat that I had made live on Twitch, but I decided that this beat right here, this beat is just too good. It's been stuck in my head the last week, and I don't know, I just had to show this shit off, man. And it's also for sale on my Beatstars right now, so if you go to the description, you can actually buy this beat for yourself. I don't want to say anything else on that. Let's just get into the music. So this is the FLP. It's called Benji's. You can see up here. This is the layout, the patterns on the playlist, and let's just jump into it. Alright, so I realized while that was playing, I didn't actually save the sound that I used or the pattern that I created, so instead I'm going to talk about this sound from a purely theoretical standpoint. Most of my samples that I use to start out with when I'm creating a beat tend to be 2 chord progressions. Maybe they have 3 chords in them, but they usually alternate between 1 or 2 chords. There's a variety of different ways that I do that, and I'll show that off in different beats. But once I establish a chord pattern, I then create a melody that goes on top of it. The melody, at least on the starting sample, has to be interesting enough to keep the listener, wanting to listen, but at the same time not being too distracting or too showboaty from the rest of the beat. And for creating your first melody, or rather sound that you can build the rest of the beat off of, I find that this is a very consistent and reliable method of doing so. Moving on to the second pattern, it looks like we're running into the same problem that we did with the first pattern, but let's just play it and see. Yeah, so as you can see, I didn't save the pattern, but I used Surge, which is this PST, and I used some preset. I used this preset, which sounds like this. And, the thing is, you can't hear all the effects on it because I did it to this sample, but the thing is, like, when I'm playing the notes like this, you can sort of hear, like, it's got the precursor elements to what the sound is going to turn into, if that makes sense. I really wish I saved the patterns just to show you how I got here, but basically when I was creating the sound, I was looking for something that was barely there, and that's the thing that you're looking for with these beats. You're just looking for sounds that are there, but they're not there, you know what I mean? If you drown them in effects like reverb and bandpass and mix them just right, there's almost no way you can mess up. I mean, don't go overboard with the mixing, but if you get experienced with it, you can sort of just feel it out. With this specific beat though, I wanted everything just drowned in reverb and spaced out and, a lot of high ends cut out, so this all just fit in perfectly. Anyways, let's just move on to the next pattern. So again, you could feel the spaced out psychedelic vibe that the melody is giving you. There's not really much else I gotta say on that. I mean, it's just the same that I had to say about the other patterns, so let's move on. These are the claps. There's a little bit more crunch to those. I don't know quite how to describe that, but that's what I want to say. Here are the hi-hats. There was a technique that Zaytoven always used to use when making his hi-hat patterns, where he always used to just hit record and then tap the hi-hats out with his fingers. I think that's exactly what I did here, because that's exactly what it sounds like. You can tell that I'm influenced by Zay a lot. I mean, I use a lot of his sounds, but that's just me. It occurs to me before I forget, I should actually show you the pattern on the roll. So you can see this is sort of the way that I do it. I skip every so often and it sounds like that. Moving on, we got the snares. There really is nothing to say there. I mean, I really gotta go into some more, snare theory in the future, but for now, that's all I really got for you. Here's the open hats. it's got a nice tight quality about it. It's very crisp, it stops before the end. I really don't know how to describe it, but when you're choosing these sounds, you really got to think about what you want in the beat. Maybe how I'll do this in the future is I'll play each sound in order on top of each other, so you'll get a better idea of my thought process, and it'll be a little bit more interesting to listen to. I added this triangle. When you hear it with the rest of the beat, where I put the triangle starts to make a little bit more sense. I'm gonna be honest, it's very rare that I use the triangle anymore. I used to use it a lot. I don't know why exactly. Maybe because it's overused, or maybe because I can't find a place for them anymore in my beats. Well, whatever reason there is, I found reason to add a triangle into this beat. Speaking of which, I also want to show this off. That's a tom roll. I don't know if y'all have heard of that, but they used to do that in old school trap beats, and I used to get hype as fuck, so I decided to add that here. Like I said, it's very rare that I add a tom roll into my beats, but I found a place for it here, so I decided to use it a lot in the arrangement. I also have to explain this even though I only use it in the intro. This is just a stylized bass pattern, and it's just to entice the listener to listen for the drop. Getting into the actual arrangement though, the intro is pretty basic. I had the first melody first, and then I bring in the next two melodies halfway through after showing off my producer tag in a little interesting way. I also had some interesting stuff with the parametric EQ that I cut off and the master volume, which I brought up. And I also bring in this bass pattern that I told you about, and then I do this little cutoff thing before bringing you into the chorus. How I did the chorus and first verse for this track is actually very interesting though, because the first drop isn't as hype as the second time that the patterns come around. So I feel like either the rapper is gonna do a verse at the beginning, or he's gonna do the chorus and then he's gonna repeat the chorus, or maybe he's going to do a chorus with just a super hype first verse. But either way, it's just interesting variation there. There's a lot of variation and interesting stuff going on in this beat without any specific choruses or verses laid out per se. I just made it interesting enough for the listener who's potentially going to buy this beat. But I think you've seen enough of the inner workings, and that's really all I have to say about it. So I'm gonna say a couple more things and then play the full beat for you guys, and then I'll let you go. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, comment any suggestions you might have for me or improvements for the channel, and remember to check the description for links to all of my other social medias where you can go and support me. I think that's all I have to say for now, so until next time, continue cooking fire. Damage it, jingle dog, where you hurt.